What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be working on our Steam Deck Backplate Mark III. This time around we went with red because why not? There are going to be a couple key changes here, and it's mainly you'll see these bumps here where the controller rear buttons used to go, and as you can see we still have the cutout for them. The reason why I blocked these out was because of grip. I love the grip of this thing. It just feels better. And I haven't figured out this button situation yet. This is tough, man. This is hard to print something and it to be strong enough to use. It's very difficult. So big shout out to the people that can do it. I'm just some dude in the attic who does this on his spare time and finds this stuff interesting. So let's get these strings off real quick so it looks a little bit better. Definitely one of the best print qualities so far. This was printed on the Bamboo Lab P1P, and I actually had two failed prints prior to this because I was printing with PETG, and PLA just prints a lot smoother when you're printing things like that. So it looks like that. So it's printing from here to the top. Definitely one of the cleaner prints by far, and I'm very happy with it. Bump outs, and we also have our seam is now a rounded half spherical, what do you call that, crescent shape now, and we properly mounted our dongle dock at the top. Last one fell off and we actually ended up having to glue it, and as you can see that we did a square one. This worked great. I rocked this for a while. I love this thing. I love this thing so much. So great. So this is done, and we're moving on to this. So there's a big problem with this before I put it on. This still has somewhat of the same issue of the clicking out here, because I could not for the life of me be able to print something at this edge that would hold. And as you can see right here, it is just like, oh, it's a hot mess express from inside. Outside looks pretty good. Looks pretty good from the outside, but the inside's hot mess express. It's impossible right now to print a clip there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue a clip on there. So everything overall is the same, just some like quality of life changes we did to this. Other than that, everything is pretty much the same. So while my hot glue heats up, what I really want to talk about is this bad boy. This was part of the ultimate Steam Deck backplate. We're gonna be, once this is done, you can already see which way we're moving. Everything I've been doing has been slowly building up to become, to bring this into the market. This is going to be the greatest Steam Deck backplate you can have, minus the buttons. I don't know if I'm ever going to fix this button situation. Once I get everything dialed in, then I can tackle these buttons, but it's just really hard to print, guys. I sit in front of the computer for like 15-20 minutes and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. So I'm just gonna let's get everything else done, and then once we get everything else perfect, then we can mess around with these buttons, because ultimately I don't use the rear buttons and I'm not worried about it, and I feel, yeah, I just don't care. I really don't care about them, and I care more about how everything else fits and how cool it is. I mean, how cooling will help, and you can overclock it and then attach a GPU. That's like the whole goal of this. I'm just gonna cut this excess and I'm gonna glue it onto the edges so that we can have tabs. I think that's what's gonna happen in the future, unless I can figure out a way to print it with these tabs in place. And then obviously I could if I put some support material, but guys, like, oh man, I fucking broken half. Come on. It's like, it's such a big waste for support material to print that little tab. I'm like, I don't want to really waste the plastic, and all I'm going to do is literally just glue these things on there. And it's time for some bukkake action. If you haven't seen while this thing heats up, let's just quick talk about the new JSOX backplate came out. Just did a video. It should be uploaded before this video, so if you haven't seen that, check out that video. And yeah, man, I'm not, you know, people think would be pissed. I'm not really that, I'm not mad. I'm just slightly annoyed. I'm actually like kind of happy and encouraged in a weird way, because I was like, man, shit, my idea was good enough to copy. Like, it was good enough a second time. Maybe the third time they'll bring me into the mix and just at least have some of my input or whatever. But whatever, dude. That's that. Let's see how it fits. Still not very strong. Honestly, even if we printed this, it'd probably be still pretty weak just because of the way we're printing it. That is just a huge problem, how flimsy this thing is. And I know how to fix it. I can actually fix this without a tab now that I think about it. So what we're going to do in the interim, because it's clearly my idea is not working, to just glue a little tab there. I'm actually glad it's not working, so that means I'm just gonna X-nay that whole tab idea, and just assemble this thing, because let's just see how it looks. Dang. This is part of the process, yo. Let's assemble this bad boy. So, pretty much just some quality of life things that we've done to this backplate. All right, so let's go ahead and let's just throw this on here.
One eternity later.
And we finally got it. Okay, so a couple things. We are having some issues with this fan. Ended up breaking the cable, had to fix it. And then after fixing it, the fan was not sitting properly. So we had to cut a hole here, and just to make sure that we had enough room. In the later version, we're definitely going to have to just make this thing not only wider by maybe a millimeter total, but definitely at least 2 to 3 millimeters thicker. I'm going to go for 3 millimeters thicker, just because we don't have enough space, but that's probably due to the fan being, I had to gunk it up in there so the fan would work. I broke one of the cables forcing it in, which was the fault of forcing this thing in anyways. That was like the fact that this opening here, this was so shallow, it was forcing it in and broke a cable, and next day, yeah, we're dealing with it. So you can see there's still a bit of a bulge in the top. I'm not too worried about that. I think the one thing that we can do on the later version is there's some standoffs behind these screws here and here that we could just ditch and get rid of, but the fit and feel everywhere else seems pretty good. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do the clip here, but I think putting ridge supports here, and I'll show you that real quick. You can see on this one, Mark III, that it started separating at the seam. This wasn't the best print, but it wasn't bad. This separation is just because it's kind of flimsy, and you apply a lot of pressure here when you're gripping your Steam Deck. So we're gonna just put some ridge lines in here, just along that, just to not only help this print a lot cleaner, but to help this strength on here so that we don't have these things bulging out anymore like that. Because once we get some rigidity in there, we should be good. So that's hopefully that will do. We'll fix that issue. The real upgrades in this one is just aesthetics and grip. For me, like I said, I'm not worried about these buttons as of now. I do want to clean this up, make this a little shallower, but this is just a good overall feeling fit in the hand for me. Definitely going to do some gaming on this thing, and it's just overall nicer. The Steam Deck right now is overclocked to 24 watt TDP, 4,000 on CPU and 2,200 on GPU. And it's just, that's the whole point behind this whole design, is to be able to overclock the crap out of your Steam Deck and it still stay nice and cool. One thing we also did is we have thermal paste behind the heatsink now, not a thermal pad, all because of thickness. I needed to shave that millimeter somewhere. It's still way too thick. I think I'm going to make this thing quite a bit larger. I don't know if that bulge is per se because of the shroud. I'm not 100% sure, but I just know that it needs to be better. All right, we have all our fans completely maxed out. And what we're just gonna do is we just want to see how well the game plays. I believe the settings should be set on high, and then we're actually gonna go into a mission in the town with these overclocks. We are not having any issues whatsoever. Let's just double check our display. Oh, graphics on average. Let's go on high. I believe I set my frames to 70. I don't know why it's not doing it. Don't understand. I need to figure that out. But 60 frames solid in town. So all our fans are maxed out. Right here, still holding a solid 50 frames. Not bad. Not bad at all. 47, 45, not looking too shabby whatsoever. We're gonna go ahead and turn the details down real quick. It is a noticeable difference on medium low, but we are holding 60 frames running around. Let's go into the water. Yeah, 60, 50. Let's try to see what it looks like with some creatures. So mid 50s to holding 60. Frame time's pretty consistent. Let's do a little bit of fighting. Did we just one hit that thing? So one thing I can tell is our overclocks are not currently working. So what we're gonna do is, and that always has to do with power tools. Every single time it's power tools. So the CPU still seems to be the huge bottleneck in this game. We're pulling about a little bit, pulling 15 watts there. So one thing with power tools, it's so weird. Turn it down sometimes for it to use the amount of power I want it to use. I don't understand really what's going on with it. If you know, please let me know. When we pull in at 15 watts, we're getting about almost 3,900 megahertz on the CPU. So we are clearly overclocking very well. Let's look at temperatures. Our temperatures are golden. Our temperatures are amazing. Oh my God, I just looked at our temps. So let's go ahead and let's turn down this fan a little bit because the current dB is 49. Our room temperature is 21 degrees Celsius. All right, we're down to 44 dB. You can clearly hear the difference. It's about 5,400 RPMs. Let's just see this temperatures. So 69 in a 21 degree room, which is around 71 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty dang good in my opinion. I'm gonna put it on high. I like to play it on high. Still getting pretty much the same frames on high, but we are pulling a lot more power out of the GPU. You can see that total sometimes we're pulling 21 watts total, over 21 watts. CPU power has dwindled to a crawl. Just funny how that works. Overall, it's a little bit choppier running at 40. Definitely not keeping up. Power draw is just not super consistent. That's the problem. Just gonna continue running. We're at 100%, damn near 100% utilization on our GPU. So that means GPU is now the bottleneck, whereas the CPU is kind of just chilling. But they're kind of pulling around the same wattage now. I'll tell you that. So definitely pulling a lot more power out of the system. So it's definitely warming things up a lot more, because before it was like 14 and 8. Now we're at 14 and 7, and sometimes getting like that 11, 12. So yeah, we're definitely pulling a little bit more wattage. Fans are still at 5,400. Yeah, this is a very cool running Steam Deck. 72, 73 with these overclocks. So the reason why our temperatures are so freaking good right now, it's because of that thermal paste, actually. Believe it or not, that thermal paste made a huge difference in cooling. We are starting to creep up, but in my previous testings, we would be in the 80s right now pulling this kind of at 21 watt TDP. This is more than 21 watts. So overhead on this one's 24. I'm going to go ahead and looks like everything's working again. Let's just crank this up to the max. Let's see if we still pull the same amount. And like I said, Power Tools has just been really weird and glitchy. Are we still getting the same? Okay, now we're pulling a lot more, so we're steady at like 22 watts right now. And remember, I bumped it up to 44. Still, the bottleneck is still the GPU on this, but we are pulling a crap ton more power. So this thing is going to heat up, and our temperatures are still doing good. I think 77 was the highest I saw in the CPU. It's been on for a while too, so. You know, to be honest, the backplate is typically a lot hotter at this point. And wow, it's actually cooling things down quite a bit faster. What is this? Heat sinks at 32, 31, 33, 32, 33, 25. It's actually cooling things down really well, considering we have such a high TDP. And I think it would have been closer to the 80s if we kept that thermal pad, just because to show you that thermal paste is the way to go on everything. So, wow, very interesting stuff. So I guess that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. This is the Mark IV. I do definitely plan on making some changes to this bump out. I'm going to shrink it down. We're going to make it a little bit more bulbousy, so it's a little bit nicer looking and easier to print. We're going to do those ridge lines I talked about here so we can fix this popping out issue. And after we do that, we get that all dialed in. We're also going to shave down some of this standoffs right here behind here. Just so it sits a little bit more flush, and increase the height in this. And then I think we're going to be pretty close to dialed in on the Mark V for this style of backplate. I think it's going to be great. One thing I do like, and real quick, is just not seeing that open seam right there. We can see it black. This looks, you know, it looks intentional, and I like that. So I'm very, very big fan of that. And like I said, freaking feels so good in the hand, so easy to hold. And once I make this a little bit cleaner, I think it's going to be a hell of a lot better. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's getting there. It's really getting there. And if you like this type of content, go ahead and hit that subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell notification so you don't miss the upcoming videos that we're going to do on the JSelects backplate and other things that I find interesting. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.